So my next guest today is Jo Badger, and Jo, I'm really pleased to say I've known you for a while now. So I also know Jo as Jo Bendy Badger, which is how I most often see you referred to on Facebook, and that's because you are known as the amazing yoga lady. But you weren't always the yoga lady. In fact, I understand initially you were a solicitor.
Well, I trained to be a solicitor when I left school.
That's, if you'll pardon the pun, it's quite a stretch from the one to the other.
Yeah, it took me, 40 years or so.
So what happened?
Yeah. Well, I suppose when I was growing up, it was a very conventional background. I was okay at school, got my exams. And I never really knew what I wanted to do with my career. But the two things that did come to mind were I knew that I could write well and talk well, and I wanted to help people. And so for me, that fused into a legal career. I didn't have any background in law, and I didn't have any careers advice in that direction, but it was just something I came up with. So I did find myself a job, got some articles, trained in London. I had a great time, actually, really enjoyed it. Looking back, I don't think it was me long term because it would be office-based, paper-based. And I'm not quite sure that would have been something that would have kept me happy all the way through a career. So the story was that I almost qualified as a solicitor, but before I did, I got married and had 3 children, as you do. So that kind of steered me off in another direction. And during the time of my children growing up, I took up my art and poetry, things like that, more creative, I guess. And I suppose as you take the journey forward, as my children then were older, I needed to think of something else to do. So I went back and did a mixed media course at Banbury College to pick up on my artwork, which is great. And then I found myself working in a chiropractic clinic in Bicester as a receptionist. And that's when my life kind of started in the direction that it's in now, which was down the alternative health route. So I qualified as a reflexologist, then I went on to qualify as a massage therapist, and I've taken a journey as an energy therapist all the way through my career over the last 20 years, which has included Feng Shui, shamanic practice, Reiki, and into yoga. So that's kind of been the journey away from what might have been more of a conventional experience into something that was a little bit more holistic and which really felt that it was right for me.
It really feels as if it's something that gives you such great joy. Every time we meet, you're just this perfect expression of where you are in the world and being fully connected to it. Is that something that your practice gives you, a closer connection?
Yeah. I've always been fascinated by the work that I've learnt, but I'm equally fascinated to pass it on to other people. So I do get a huge amount of pleasure learning the work, practicing it myself, and then helping other people to step into something that might be quite new for them, because the work that I teach isn't mainstream stuff that we've been brought up with. It's radical. It's the Eastern mind. It's a completely different culture that is linked into personal health care, which is really interesting that we should have been talking about the healthcare system in this country, because in a lot of ways, yoga and the complementary therapies that I deal with are coming at personal health from a slightly different angle. And so they complement the system that we have, but they're also bringing other aspects into people's consciousness that were perhaps not familiar to us when we're growing up in our culture.
So do you find that when people approach you, perhaps that they've looked at more traditional therapies and that they're moving on, or is it something that's complementary and that it's used in conjunction with?
Oh yeah, because it's all about awareness. You know, if you're not aware of something, you can't try it and you won't know the benefits of it. So in actual fact, it's about choice. So myself and the people like me in this area who are therapists, I guess fundamentally, if we've learnt something that we enjoy, and I guess speaking for myself, I like to be able to give people choices through their own experience of learning something and trying something new, different perhaps, but that they're drawn to naturally. they then have choices, and it's all about choice. And the more information people have got, the more exposure they've got to other choices about, in this case, healthcare or personal well-being, then that's got to be a good thing. It's just about choice. It's not that anything's better or worse. We live in the society we're in, and we're just having more choice about how we go through our lives from that health and well-being point of view.
And that you can follow more than one path, you can explore.
Yeah. Loads, yeah, and vary it at different times. Nothing's set in stone. Life isn't like that, is it? Health isn't like that.
Nothing is like that. There's nothing in my experience anyway. So, and I do know that you've got an amazing event coming up, because I've seen it on Facebook. So
good.
Obviously,
works,
you know, yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, it's working. It's definitely
That's
working.
good.
Can you tell us a bit about that? Because is it a whole day?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been fortunate in this area that I live, Banbury, to meet amazing men and women who are in their own way on their own journey with complementary therapies of all sorts. And what's lovely about the complementary therapy atmosphere in this area is the cooperation, the friendships, the community that we are growing between ourselves and with people at large, that is all designed to bring these therapies to people in a lovely setting, in a lovely environment where they can relax and enjoy and maybe learn something and try something new. So I've palled up with Fiona Smith, who is of Oxfordshire Therapies. She is a wonderful crystal healer, and she and myself and a lovely young lady that I know very well, Kirsten Boomer. Here we are, ladies, you're getting your name mentioned, which they don't probably know about. Hope they're pleased. So we have the lovely Kirsten, and she is a superb vegan vegetarian chef, and I will be providing the yoga and the mindfulness, the meditation, walking meditations for our guests. And the three of us are going to be working on April the 2nd. This is where I plug, I guess. So Sunday, April the 2nd, from 10:30 to 3:30 at Swaycliffe Village Hall, which is OX15. That's just outside Broughton and Tadmartin and up the road towards Stratford, I guess. We've got a venue, and the three of us are collaborating to invite people to come and have a retreat. I'm calling it the Quiet Time Retreat. So one of the things I love to do for my clients and the people who come and work with me is to offer people a chance to step away from their everyday world, literally leave it all behind, and just get in touch with themselves and breathe and relax and be in a different space where there's no pressure, there's nothing needs to happen in any particular way, but they can just connect and just relate to other people and themselves in perhaps a slightly different way than when they're very busy and focused on the outside world. So it is a retreat. It's a bit of a coming in on oneself and into one's own space, so that you can just explore a little bit using these therapies and techniques.
Well, stepping away from the world sounds like a wonderful thing to
But
do.
Actually, it's not isolationist in that way. It's so that you can come back refreshed to that world. So it's, yoga, when it was traditionally practiced in India, was about retreating. It was in ashrams and communities and caves in the Himalayas, and it was men only. So it would have been a lifetime's retreat to practice yoga, for example. But certainly in our Western culture, we don't live like that. We live in communities, we're out in the world. And so it's perhaps at this stage of our evolution about living out in the world as we do, but then knowing there's a stop button that is also the balance to the busyness. And that's what I like to feel that I can provide for my clients, is the information that will allow them to have the busiest time, the most stressed time that they choose, but actually have the balance of something else that's nurturing on a deeper level, so that they can then, if they choose, go back out and do it all over again. So it's not about sitting on your own and being alone and not getting engaged. It's the opposite. It's about going even further into your community, even further into your relationships, even further into your healthcare and into your personal well-being. Being
fully engaged with everything that life has to offer.
Absolutely.
Which is what I see in you every time we meet, Jo. There's no two ways about it. So if we'd like to be a part of this, how do we go about doing that?
Well, there's a Facebook page. I have Jo Padmini Badger Facebook page. I've got One-to-One Hatha Yoga Facebook page. And we have an event page, which is the quiet time retreat with yoga, crystals and nourishing food, which I can absolutely guarantee will be on offer. All of those wonderful things will be completely available during that day for people to try and to re-engage with if they're already familiar. And we're really looking forward to meeting everyone and sharing that day with them.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds as if it's going to be a wonderful day. Just before I let you go, Jo, I'm really sorry, but I just have to ask, can you perhaps show us something that would help us to stretch or to connect or to find that space that you talk about, that maybe not when we're all sat here in front of the cameras, but perhaps when we're on our own we could look at trying?
Yeah, stretching is really good for the mind and the body, because by stretching your mind and your body, you're actually then releasing tension when you relax. So we often have quite tense parts of our body because we're not necessarily moving them a lot or letting the tension out. And so a yoga practice, for example, can help us to feel tension in a comfortable range, within a comfortable range for ourselves. And then when we relax the muscles, we're actually releasing that tension. It's a bit like a spring-loaded response. So the more you stretch in my yoga classes, the better, because then when you relax, your muscles become softer, longer, your joints can move more freely, and your mind will let go of tension. It's the mind-body connection that you're working with. So I'm very happy to show you a stretch that you can do.
Thank you so much. That would be great. I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. So stretching is really good for your muscles, and it's always good to have a good solid yoga mat underneath. I've got these pieces of footwear on which will help me have a grip. So it's important that you grip when you're on the floor. You don't be sliding your legs around. So the first thing you're going to do is to separate your feet as wide as you can so that you're getting a lunge. This is a lunge. And the thing about a lunge is that you want to be at 90 degrees with your knee over your ankle rather than your knee beyond your ankle. If your knee's beyond your ankle, it isn't supported, and you want to support your knee. So you're going to stretch your foot and your knee so that you can look physically and see that you're safe with that lunge. So from there, you can put your elbow down on your knee, just above the knee. And then you're going to think about your left shoulder, and you're going to lift your left shoulder back, and you can see that you're getting a nice twist in the spine. Hopefully that's clear. And then you're going to lift your hip back, your knee out, so you're opening the front of your body and you're massaging all your inner organs at the same time. Yoga isn't just about the outside, it's about the inside and how things feel. So you feel into that stretch, you lift your arm up, you can look at the floor and just stretch. You can see, hopefully, the stretch then between the fingers and the toes, and you're stretching the side of your body. You're lunging, stretching, finding a bit of balance, and then you can slowly bring your arm down, come up, and work on the other side. So yoga's about the right side and the left side. In our everyday world, we often just use one side of our body, so you're growing your nervous system, you're developing your muscles, and your mind is fully focused, and that means it's resting. It means the mind is happy because it's doing something focused, and it's just concentrating on one thing. So again, work really slowly, find your balance, bend into the knee, and just feel it. Doesn't matter what it looks like, it's just about what it feels like for you. And you only work to your own pace and your own ability. So you're stretching, feeling into the stretch, just holding it for a few breaths perhaps, just feeling into it. And then you can slowly release. That's all you need to do. Feel the stretch, come up, and already your muscles will have changed because it has released some of the tension in there. Okay.
I don't have appropriate words for that. Thank you so much. Thank you.